I mean, it was clear to me that the administration at Columbia and most members of the faculty believed passionately in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to hurt Jews. That's what I saw. Isn't that what you saw?
I saw.
Now, Governor Walz says, I knew nothing about this, man. It's news to me. And he said, in fact, I'm taking some bold steps. He said, at first, I'm not going to run for a third term. I guess he needs more time. Hope he uses the time to prepare his defense, because he's got a lot to defend here. He knew what was going on.
Sometimes a Senate hearing becomes more than just a policy discussion. It becomes a moment that everyone starts talking about. In this clip, John Kennedy presses a witness after she suggests that anti-Semitism increased during the presidency of Donald Trump. What follows is a tense exchange about campus protests, political rhetoric, and responsibility. The moment quickly escalates, and one comment from Kennedy instantly grabs the room's attention. Stay with me as we break down what actually happened in this hearing and why it's now going viral. And if you enjoy clear, balanced political breakdowns, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with others here on Capitol Review.
Ms. Solomon, I want to be sure I understand your testimony. Did I understand you to testify that anti-Semitism is worse under the Trump administration?
Senator, thank you for your question.
You don't have to thank me. Okay. Your best thanks is to answer.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you that anti-Semitism has been rising, especially since the 2017
but has the
Charlottesville
Trump administration
attack.
caused that? Is that your testimony?
I wouldn't say the Trump administration has caused anti-Semitism. Has there been an increase since Trump has entered office? Yes.
Do you see a causal connection there?
Yes.
Why?
Trump has highlighted and platformed neo-Nazis and white supremacists.
Okay. I can't see that far. I understood you to say that in answer to Senator Durbin's question, the spending reductions, reducing the federal budget would increase anti-Semitism. Isn't that what you said?
No, I did not. I said that the constant threats to cut money to the Office for Civil Rights and the Department of Education prevents the federal government from adequately investigating anti-Semitism and other hate crimes on college campuses.
So you think one way to stop anti-Semitism is to give people more money? Is that right?
I think one of the ways is to actually fund people that are actually designed to investigate anti-Semitism on college campuses.
What's there to investigate? We see it.
We
saw it. Did you watch television? Did you see what happened at Columbia?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it was clear to me that the administration at Columbia and most members of the faculty believed passionately in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to hurt Jews. That's what I saw. Isn't that what you saw?
I saw.
Isn't that what you saw?
I saw protesters against the war in Gaza and them using some anti-Semitic slogans and thoughts. I would say, however, that it's hard. I would say,
isn't that
however,
what you're telling me? That's not what you saw.
Now,
don't get off the subject on me now. You're telling me that's not what you saw.
I'm telling you that it is difficult for the federal government to adequately address the issue of anti-Semitism.
Are you telling me the Columbia administration and the faculty was supportive of the Jewish community?
I think that they are trying to find...
You need to stop dipping into your ketamine stash.
Into what? Excuse me?
Now, if we're going to solve this problem, we need to talk about it. And it wasn't just at Columbia. It was at Berkeley. It was at UCLA. It was at Barnard. And Columbia has a history of discriminating against the Jewish people. They used to refuse to let Jewish students come to their university. Now, you can try to bubble wrap this, but that's what I saw. If you want to stop a lot of the anti-Semitism, maybe we need to stop teaching kids to be anti-Semitic.
Sir, I would relish that opportunity.
Let me ask you a question, Ms. Cohab, did I say that right?
Kohav.
Do you think it's possible to feel compassion rather, for the Palestinian people without hating Jews?
Absolutely.
In fact, one of the lawyers representing one of the thieves in this case said many of the people, this was their excuse, said many of the people involved in the stealing thought that the state was okay with it. That's what he said. Here's his quote. No one was doing anything about the red flags. Red flags were everywhere. Nobody in state government, he said, was doing anything about the red flags. It was like someone was stealing money from the cookie jar and they kept refilling it. The state knew. And at one point, Governor Walz and some of his agencies said, whoa, maybe we ought to put a stop to this. And they backed off. They said no more money for a while. Well, fresh hell broke loose. You know what happened? The largest, most powerful, fictitious company, run mostly by people of Somali ancestry, sent an email to the Minnesota state government. And they said that the state agency that was failing to promptly approve new applications and give us new money from, quote, minority-owned businesses, close quote, it was going to result in a lawsuit featuring accusations of racism that would be sprawled across the news. If you don't give us our money, we're going to call you racist. They did it. It's all come out in evidence at trial. In fact, a lady by the name of Kesa Megan, she's one of the good guys. She is a Somali American who used to work as a fraud investigator in the Attorney General's office, who, by the way, was just as involved as Governor Walz in turning a blind eye to all this. She says, and she said it in the newspaper, she said that elected officials, and particularly those who are part of the state's Democratic-led administration, were reluctant to take more assertive action in response to the allegations. Why? Here's her quote. There is a perception that forcefully tackling this issue might cause political backlash from the Somali community, which is a core voting bloc.
The hearing you're about to see centers on a serious topic, the rise of anti-Semitic incidents on college campuses across the United States. Lawmakers were questioning witnesses about protests and tensions that appeared at several universities, including Columbia University, where demonstrations connected to the war in Gaza had sparked national debate. Some students and activists were protesting Israeli military actions, while critics argued that certain slogans and behaviors during those protests crossed the line into anti-Semitism. During the hearing, one witness stated that anti-Semitism had been rising in the United States since 2017. When Senator Kennedy heard that, he immediately asked a direct follow-up question. Was she suggesting that the Trump administration had caused that increase? The witness clarified that she was not saying the administration directly caused anti-Semitism, but she argued that rhetoric and the visibility of extremist groups during that period may have contributed to a broader environment where such views became more visible. Kennedy clearly disagreed with that framing. Instead, he shifted the focus toward what he believed was happening on college campuses. He referenced the protests at Columbia and argued that universities were not doing enough to protect Jewish students or to clearly condemn anti-Semitic behavior during demonstrations. The witness responded by acknowledging that some protest slogans had been anti-Semitic, but she emphasized that many of the demonstrations were focused on opposition to the war in Gaza rather than hostility toward Jewish people. That distinction is actually at the center of a much larger national debate right now. Some lawmakers and commentators believe universities have allowed activism to cross into harassment or discrimination against Jewish students. Others argue that criticism of Israeli government policies should not automatically be labeled anti-Semitic, and that campuses are struggling to balance free speech with student safety. As the exchange continued, Kennedy pressed the witness repeatedly for a clearer answer about what she believed was happening at Columbia. The tone became noticeably sharper. At one point, Kennedy made a sarcastic remark, telling the witness that if they wanted to solve the issue, they needed to stop dipping into your ketamine stash. The comment drew attention immediately because it was unusually blunt language for a Senate hearing. Moments like that are part of why clips from congressional hearings often spread quickly online. They capture not only the policy debate, but also the tension and personalities involved. But beyond the viral moment, the larger issue being discussed is still very serious. Universities across the country are facing difficult questions about how to address anti-Semitism while also protecting political expression and protest rights. Lawmakers from both parties continue to debate what role the federal government should play in responding to discrimination on campuses. So while the exchange between Senator Kennedy and the witness was heated, it reflects a broader national conversation about accountability, free speech, and student safety. In the end, this exchange shows just how intense the debate around campus protests and anti-Semitism has become in Washington. Senator Kennedy challenged the witness directly, the witness defended her position, and the moment quickly turned into one of the most talked about clips from the hearing. Now I'd like to hear your perspective. Do you think the senator made a strong point, or did the discussion go too far? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoy clear, balanced political breakdowns, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with others here on Capitol Review.